I want to talk to you about the courier business with step van. If you want to have a courier business this year with a step van, there are some errors that you need to avoid very, very primarily. So I want to talk about those errors that you need to really avoid this year, okay? So here are the considerations I want you to think about. So when you think about the step van delivery business, I want you to think about a very dynamic field, okay? So depending on where you are at, you can make hundreds of dollars a day to even thousands of dollars a month, okay? This is really pretty dynamic. I mean, we actually have worked with step van drivers who are making close to 20 bucks, $20,000 a month. So it's totally possible. You have folks in LA, you have folks in New York. So it depends on the metropolitan area where you are located. So the cool thing is that when you think about it, at its core, a step van business specializes in transporting goods using compact yet versatile vehicles known as step vans. And these vans are strategically designed to navigate urban landscapes, making them ideal for last mile deliveries, but also middle mile deliveries. Okay, so this is kind of cool. When you think about last mile deliveries, I want you to think about the final leg of the supply chain that brings products directly to the end consumer. Okay, so the scope of a step van delivery business encompasses a wide array of goods, ranging from, let's say, parcels and packages to even perishable items and specialized cargo also, depending on the market's demand. So it's all about the supply and demand that you have in your specific geography. So one thing for sure, basically a step van can be a powerful delivery business for you. See, the whole thing is that a lot of viewers believe that you have to actually go on a gig app to find, or even a load board to find step van loads or step van gigs. No, you can actually cultivate a tighter and deeper relationship with shippers, with freight networks, with freight dispatchers, with freight brokers, and actually have a sustainable volume of step van business revenue coming into your firm, into your company all the time. So you are able to connect, for instance, manufacturers, wholesalers, and retailers with the end consumer. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so when you think about a step van business, and you want to have a courier business with a step van, you have to really understand that you have to understand three things. Your geography plays an important role. The demographics you are serving plays an important role, but also the regulations. So you have to really think about whether if you want to do OTR, if you want to engage in OTR, then you have to really abide by the FMCSA rules. You got to have authority. You got to have your own authority, or really work under somebody else's authority. So think about the regulation part of things really, really importantly. Let me talk to you about the top errors to avoid this year when it comes to a courier business with a step van. So planning is really important. Do not actually forget the planning phase. If you just go into a step van business delivery and without planning, you are going to really regret it, because you are working in a very competitive field. You are working in a tightly controlled field. Okay, so you have to really plan your step van business as your step van delivery business this year. What does that mean, really? So planning your step van delivery business really means that you are doing research beforehand. You are doing research during the deployment of your strategy, but you also are thinking about the future. So when you actually lay the foundation for your step van courier business, you have to think about market research, for instance. You got to think about having a comprehensive business plan. Do not forget about that. Do not think, I can just start a step van business without doing market research. Market research is so critical. Remember, you're not the only, you are one of thousands, if not hundreds or tens of thousands of step van drivers out there. So how do you actually differentiate yourself? How do you actually make yourself stand out? By actually doing research, by conducting market research. So by knowing where the demand is at, by knowing what kind of loads your customers, your potential customers want to ship, by knowing what shippers want, by knowing what the freight brokers want, by knowing what the freight dispatchers want. That gives you information, and information is really power. And in this case, information is money. It's ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. So if you want to succeed in a courier business with your step van, do research. You want to craft a comprehensive business plan if possible. I mean, a business plan doesn't have to take 1,000 pages. It's nothing really complicated. Nowadays, you have AI, artificial intelligence, that can help you for free actually craft a business plan. You can also go with a business plan that charges you like $50 to actually have a business plan. You can craft a business plan about your step van delivery business to actually clarify how you intend to make money with your step van. So very important, do not make the mistake of avoiding or ignoring the business plan aspect of things, especially things like business descriptions, your mission, your vision, and the services you plan to offer. When you think about step van courier business this year, you really want to pay attention also to market analysis and strategy. So market analysis and strategy really has to be with the geography where you're at, the state and city where you are at. So basically, and when I speak about market analysis, you got to really pay attention to those local retailers and what their needs are. Okay, so forget about the big retailer like the Walgreens of the world, the Walmart, the BJ's. No. You want to focus on the smaller retailer. Those are small mom and pop shops. Okay, they need shipping too. And your step van shipping business, your step van delivery business could also make money, but you got to really do the analysis. And I'm not asking you to really spend like hours upon hours and really hire a consultant to really do a pretty complicated market analysis and strategy. No, you want to ask around what the trends are. You want to ask around folks. You want to really make sure that you connect with those retailers. For instance, ask questions. Also, you want to really structure the management and organization of your step van business delivery, the delivery business rather. So if you are an owner operator, if you are one person business, that's fine. So you don't need to have any think about hierarchy or org chart, whatever. But if you have a fleet, if you are a fleet operator, or if you actually deal with, if you work with other drivers, and you probably have multiple step vans to think about, then you have to really think about management. In other words, you have to really hire the best drivers. You have to do background checks because when it comes to delivery, the delivery business, there are some regulations that are really pretty strict. So you want to make sure that you do some kind of background checks to make sure you are attracting to your step van delivery business only the best of the best. You also want to think about financial projections. Don't make the mistake of ignoring your financial projections. I'm not asking once again to go pretty deep here. You just want to know how much you can expect in terms of load revenue. Okay, just estimate your load revenue per week, per month. Don't forget the deadhead miles though. When you think about estimating load revenue, think about the deadhead miles. If you are thinking about courier business with step van, I want one mistake that you need to really pay attention to. You need to avoid is that you need to avoid the compliance mistake. In other words, you got to be as compliant as possible. And when it comes to compliance, you have a whole lot of regulations that govern the step van delivery business, especially if you are doing OTR. If you are doing a cross-state delivery, then you really have to think about the regulations, okay? If you're doing in-state delivery, well, the rules are not as tight as they are if you are crossing state boundaries to, let's say, to deliver, to haul loads for business, for shippers, okay? In terms of legal requirements and registration, it's important to understand that when you think about your step van delivery business, you want to address legal requirements and registration. Okay, so you want to really see which ones really apply to your specific situation. You also want to choose the right business structure. Don't make the mistake of saying, you know what, I can be a sole proprietor and I could just drive my step van and I could just I mean, of course, you can be a sole proprietor and really run a step van courier business. That's for sure. But if you want to really like a scale and you want to really do things right, you want to establish yourself as a business. You want to segregate your personal affairs from your business affairs. That way, if something were to happen, you can cover your ass because you got to protect your ass because you do not want to. You could be sued. Anything can happen. When it comes to step van businesses, anything can happen. Anything can happen, and anything has happened in the past to folks who were thinking that nothing will happen to them. Okay, so you want to really make sure that you segregate yourself and from your business. I mean, from your personal affairs by having a business, You also want to register your step van delivery business and obtain the necessary licenses and permits depending on the areas where you are located at. Also, think about insurance requirements for step van delivery businesses. So this will have to be, again, depending on the city and state where you are at, because the rules are different, but also depending on the insurance will also be driven by the type of load that you customarily haul. If you're doing reefer, for instance, you have a different type of insurance requirements than if you are doing perishables or hazmat. I want to talk to you about operations. I mean, there are some big mistakes you need to avoid when you're trying to set up a courier business with step van. Okay, now operations is really operations are the foundation, the fulcrum of your step van delivery business. What do I mean by that? Well, the whole thing is that you can drive all you want. You can drive miles and miles and miles, but if you have no idea what's happening in the back office, you are really wasting your time. You're wasting your money too. Let me break it down even further. See, the whole thing is that you have to have somebody to take care of the back office in terms of administrative tasks, your accounting, okay, your revenue management, your tax filing processes, things like compliance, things like making sure you are actually abiding by the rules of the states where you are incorporated at. Some states have something called a certificate of good standing. So for you to qualify, for you to have every year a certificate of good standing, you have to really file an annual report. And some states want you to have actually a registered agent. So all of these things, somebody got to really take care of it. I mean, if you're just driving and thinking about chasing miles revenue, if you don't take care of the back office, you could actually regret it. So be very careful. Don't make the mistake of actually ignoring the back office. Your back office is really important. The best way to do this, and it really actually scale real fast, is to actually outsource the whole thing to a freight dispatcher. So a freight dispatcher will really help you. Actually, will take care of the back office. Will also take care of finding the loads for you. I mean, when it comes to finding loads for your step van business, your step van courier business, you can always use the load boards. You can always use freight dispatchers. You can always use freight brokers. You know, you have all kinds of possibilities. You can also reach out to shippers, local shippers, or even national shippers. You can work with UPS. You can work with USPS, FedEx. You have all kinds of possibilities, right? But you have to find a way where you are outsourcing your back office to someone so that you can focus on driving your step van for your delivery business. If you don't do this, you will be really pissed later on, because those penalties and fines that come from state and federal authorities, they are big. Okay, if you make a mistake, you are really will regret it. So I want to talk to you about promotion. So when you think about courier business with step van, what are the top mistakes you need to really avoid when it comes to promotion? Well, first of all, don't ignore the promotion aspect of things. Going back to what I said about planning, you're not the only step van delivery business this year, and I don't care the size of your city or county or states. I mean, doesn't matter if you are driving if you are in Dover, Delaware versus New York City. You know, you have 5 million people versus 10,000 people. I mean, it doesn't matter. You gotta always you gotta find a way to market your step van courier business. Okay, so marketing your step van courier business is really important. You got to really establish a robust marketing strategy. I'm not really asking you to spend thousands of dollars. I'm not asking you to hire a marketing agency to kind of help your step van delivery business. You can actually start with social media. I mean, that's free. That's free. You don't have to do anything. And once you have a social media, you can try to really look for there is actually a software provider called Card that allows you to have a one-page website for free. One-page website for free, so you can set up a website for free. That will take you probably 1 hour tops. But you gotta have that. You gotta have a strategy there, okay? Because the whole thing is, when you think about marketing, it's not just about having offline marketing. You also have to think about online marketing, because nowadays a lot of shippers, a lot of freight brokers, a lot of dispatchers, they'll find you online, actually, because nobody knows you maybe in your area. So if you don't have a strategy, a way to be found online, this could be a problem. So start with social media, then have a website. You can actually have a free website through company called Wix, for instance, and also think about the branding strategy also. So for your step van courier business, don't ignore the branding aspect of things. Okay, so that's really important to think about. Branding means what? Just have a brand. You can get a brand. You can get a logo, for instance, for $10, $15 on Fiverr, and then you can try to really see how you can market, how you can promote your brand in your local area. You gotta have that. You gotta have a local strategy when it comes to courier business. When it comes to a step van, you gotta have a strategy. Otherwise, you're not going to be known really for what you intend to have. That's important to think about it that way. Okay. And one thing I want to say also is that you have to really make sure that you are consistent when it comes to branding. If you are thinking about a courier business with StepVan this year, you need to really focus a lot about client acquisition. Don't make the mistake of hoping that just by going on load boards, you will find loads and then everything will be fine. That's a big mistake. Okay, let me explain why. You might find a few loads on load boards, that's for sure, but you're not the only one chasing the same loads. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, in your area, you basically have clients who are just waiting to have their loads hauled, their loads shipped. And the big question is, what are you doing? Those local retailers, those mom and pop shops around the corner, grocery stores, they probably have, or those restaurants, for instance, what are you doing? Who is serving them? So you have a lot of client acquisition conduits to really think about this year. So don't actually flock to the load boards. Everybody thinking about load boards here, load board there. I mean, that's kind of crazy. On load boards, you find everything and anything. Okay, you have loads for trucks, you have loads for step vans, you have loads for cargo vans, you have loads for sprinter vans. You have a lot of loads. If you're chasing the same loads that 1,000 people are chasing, imagine your chances of actually getting something. So you got to really find a way where you are differentiating yourself, and the better way is to actually carve out your own strategy when it comes to acquiring clients, acquiring especially your first clients. Okay. Also, don't forget about building a digital presence. I said this, so I've touched on this a little earlier when I said think about having social media, think about websites, but you want to go a little further by having also a landing page. A landing page is really powerful when it comes to helping you attract clients for your step van courier business. Okay. You can actually have a free landing page builder. You can have a one-page builder, nothing really long, nothing really complicated. And the thing is that you can actually drive clients on a consistent basis in the long run, and that's what you want anyway. You want to have this sort of flexibility when it comes to touching the right people who will bring you revenue, not only in the short run but also in the long run, and that's what you want. That's really powerful from a scalability point of view. Fantastic. So in conclusion to this conversation, I spoke to you about courier business with StepVan, and I spoke to you about top errors to avoid this year, and so you can promote your company a lot faster and make money, of course. So I spoke to you about the considerations, the top errors to avoid in terms of planning, compliance, operations, and promotions, and now the conclusion. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay